In this video, we're exposing the shocking truth about what's really in your gin. 8 UK brands you need to avoid immediately. From synthetic sweeteners and artificial colours to botanical deceptions and chemical shortcuts, what you're about to discover may completely change your next gin and tonic. Stay until the end. We'll reveal 3 brands that actually distill gin properly. Starting at number 8, Aldi's Hayesmith's London Dry dominates budget shelves across the United Kingdom. Millions of bottles sell every year to price-conscious shoppers. But here is what that bargain price really means. Hayesmith's sits at just 37.5% alcohol by volume, the absolute legal minimum for gin in the United Kingdom. That is not coincidence. That is cost-cutting. The gin uses mass-produced grain neutral spirit, industrial alcohol manufactured at scale with 0 character. The botanical profile is minimal. You are getting the bare minimum to legally call it gin. Independent tasting panels consistently describe it as sharp, thin, and one-dimensional. That harshness comes from low alcohol by volume combined with minimal botanicals masking a cheap base spirit. Production involves mass distillation with no batch control or quality monitoring beyond legal compliance. Industrial efficiency replaces craft precision in every bottle. What makes Hayesmith's particularly concerning is its market positioning. It targets families on tight budgets who can least afford to waste money on substandard products. They are sold London Dry heritage while receiving industrial alcohol that barely meets legal standards. Repeated consumption of harsh, poorly distilled spirits can strain your liver over time. Your liver processes every drop of alcohol, and when that alcohol is low quality with minimal botanical protection, the metabolic burden increases. Technically, it is gin. Legally, it is London Dry. But it represents everything wrong with modern mass production, meeting the bare minimum while abandoning craft tradition entirely. But if you thought budget supermarket gin was concerning, wait until you see what happens when major brands prioritize spice gimmicks over gin fundamentals. At number 7, Opihr Oriental Spiced Gin markets itself as an exotic adventure in a bottle. Ornate packaging and claims of hand-picked botanicals from the Orient create a premium image. But that exotic marketing hides serious formulation problems. Opihr loads the botanical bill with black pepper, cardamom, and cumin. Those overpowering spices dominate everything else, and Juniper gets buried completely beneath the aggressive pepper assault. Production uses botanical extract rather than proper vapor infusion or maceration. Extracts deliver concentrated flavor quickly and cheaply, but they remove the subtle complexity that traditional distillation creates. Here is what most drinkers do not realize. Botanical extracts are concentrated chemical compounds, and your body processes them differently than whole botanicals naturally distilled. The liver works harder breaking down these synthetic concentrations. The Oriental spiced positioning targets consumers who want something different, something adventurous. But different does not mean better. Regular consumption of heavily extracted spirits places additional metabolic stress on your system. The concentrated compounds can accumulate faster than your body can process them efficiently. For a gin marketed as an exotic premium experience, Opihr delivers a chemical assault disguised as sophistication. Now, if aggressive spicing shocked you, this next brand takes gimmickry to a whole new level, literally changing color in your glass. At number 6, color-changing gins represent perhaps the most cynical trend in modern spirits. Chemistry experiments masquerading as craft gin. Pink marmalade, color-changing gin, and countless imitators flood Instagram feeds. Pour it, add tonic, watch it magically shift from purple to pink. Hundreds of thousands of bottles sold purely on visual gimmick. But here is what that color trick actually means. The color change comes from butterfly pea flower, a botanical that is sensitive to acidity and creates dramatic color shifts when mixed with acidic tonic. It is science-class theatre, not gin craftsmanship. Independent reviews consistently note these gins are citrus-driven, fairly generic, and unremarkable beyond the color effect. That is damning. You are paying premium prices for chemistry tricks, while the actual gin inside could come from any mass production facility. What is particularly troubling is the complete lack of transparency. Who distills it? Where is the base spirit sourced? Most brands refuse to disclose because transparency would expose the industrial shortcuts behind the pretty colors. These gins prioritize packaging and Instagram appeal over everything traditional gin craftsmanship represents. If color-changing tricks disappointed you, wait until you see what happens when heritage brands abandon their own traditions for orange liqueur territory. At number 5, Tanqueray Flor de Sevilla betrays everything the Tanqueray name historically represented. Tanqueray built its reputation since 1830 on crisp, dry London dry gin, made from 4 botanicals with perfect balance and an unwavering Juniper focus. Then they launched Flor de Sevilla. This is not gin. It is orange liqueur pretending to be gin. Sevilla oranges dominate completely, with sweet, jammy, confiture-like sweetness overwhelming everything else. The juniper that defines Tanqueray is barely detectable beneath the orange assault. The formulation includes orange flavouring alongside distilled botanicals. In practice, they are adding concentrated orange compounds after distillation, rather than relying purely on botanical distillation. What concerns health experts is that those after distillation flavourings mean you are consuming concentrated sweetening agents alongside alcohol. Recent studies from 2024 link regular artificial sweetener consumption to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Independent tasting notes consistently describe it as too sweet, unbalanced, and more liqueur than gin. Spirit experts question whether it should even be classified as gin, given the juniper practically vanishes. What makes Flor de Sevilla particularly frustrating is the brand betrayal. Tanqueray spent nearly 200 years building credibility on botanical purity and London dry integrity, but then abandoned those principles entirely, chasing the flavoured gin trend. For gin marketed under one of London's most respected distilling names, Flor de Sevilla represents corporate cynicism, leveraging heritage reputation whilst delivering sweet orange cordial that abandons everything Tanqueray historically stood for. Think heritage brands abandoning tradition is bad. Wait until you see what happens when established names dive headfirst into pink marketing gimmicks. At number 4, Beefeater Pink Strawberry reveals how even London's most established distilleries sacrifice principles for pink trend profits. Beefeater has distilled in Kennington since 1863, over 160 years of London dry heritage. Their classic gin remains one of Britain's most respected expressions. Proper botanical balance, clear juniper focus, traditional craft. Then they launched Pink Strawberry. This isn't Beefeater anymore, it's strawberry-flavoured vodka with gin technically present. The strawberry dominates completely, sweet, jammy, confectionery-like profile bearing any resemblance to traditional gin. The formulation includes strawberry flavouring added after distillation. That means concentrated strawberry compounds mixed in after the actual gin production finishes. At 37.5% alcohol by volume, it sits at the legal minimum, cost-cutting, reducing spirit quality while technically meeting gin classification. Here's the health reality nobody discusses. Those concentrated fruit flavorings contain the same synthetic sweetening compounds linked to gut microbiota disruption. A 2024 study confirmed that sucralose triggers inflammatory responses in liver tissue. Independent reviews consistently describe it as too sweet, artificial tasting, and lacking gin character. That is not harsh criticism. That is an accurate assessment of a fundamentally compromised formulation. What makes Beefeater Pink particularly disappointing is the brand credibility sacrifice. They understood botanical balance. They respected Juniper's central role. Then they abandoned everything for Instagram pink marketing targeting consumers who don't actually like gin. Your gut microbiome, the ecosystem of bacteria essential for digestion and immunity, reacts negatively to these artificial compounds. Repeated exposure can lead to dysbiosis, the medical term for bacterial imbalance that contributes to inflammation and metabolic problems. For a distillery with 160 years of London heritage, Pink Strawberry represents corporate capitulation, abandoning craft principles to chase trend profits. If even Beefeater could not resist pink marketing, this next brand takes fruit-forward formulation to its absolute extreme. At number 3, Bombay Bramble represents everything wrong with modern flavoured gin. Jammy fruit in a premium bottle. Bombay Sapphire built its reputation on vapour infusion and botanical complexity. With 10 carefully selected botanicals, elegant balance, and a sophisticated profile appreciated by gin enthusiasts worldwide. Bramble abandons all of that. The blackberry and raspberry dominate so completely you could serve this blind and nobody would identify it as gin. It is dark purple, intensely fruity, with a confiture-like sweetness reminiscent of a dessert liqueur. The formulation includes natural blackberry and raspberry flavoring added after distillation. They are adding concentrated fruit compounds, the same approach used in budget-flavored vodkas. At 37.5% alcohol by volume, it matches the legal minimum. Lower alcohol means cheaper production while technically maintaining gin classification. That reduced strength creates a thinner body and a harsher character beneath the fruit sweetness. Here is what medical research reveals. The concentrated sweeteners used in these formulations have been linked to increased risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. A comprehensive 2024 review found that sucralose activates inflammatory pathways in hepatic tissue. Independent tasting panels consistently note that Bramble tastes more like fruit liqueur, overly sweet and lacking gin structure. The Juniper, the defining botanical that makes gin, disappears entirely beneath the berry assault. What is most troubling is the premium positioning. Bombay charges premium prices for a fundamentally compromised formulation that abandons botanical integrity entirely. Every sweet drink you consume with these concentrated flavorings means your liver works overtime processing both ethanol and synthetic compounds. That is cumulative stress building with each gin and tonic. For a brand that built its reputation on botanical sophistication and vapor infusion excellence, Bramble represents corporate betrayal, leveraging premium brand equity while delivering a fruit cordial with gin only vaguely present. Think berry jam gin is bad? This next brand perfects the pink, sweet candy approach that dominates supermarket shelves. At number 2, Gordon's Premium Pink represents the brand that launched Britain's pink gin obsession and everything problematic about it. Gordon's has distilled since 1769, over 250 years of London dry heritage. Generations trusted the name, then 2017 arrived. Gordon's launched Premium Pink. The response was explosive. Supermarket shelves cleared within weeks. But here's what that success actually delivered. Gordon's Pink contains natural raspberry and red currant flavoring added post-distillation, not fresh fruit maceration. Concentrated fruit compounds are mixed into the finished gin, the same approach used in budget alcopops. At 37.5% alcohol by volume, it sits at the legal minimum. Cost-cutting reduces production costs while technically maintaining gin classification. Recent medical research confirms artificial sweeteners like those in Gordon's Pink disrupt gut bacteria composition. A 2024 study found that regular consumption alters microbiota balance, leading to glucose intolerance and inflammatory responses. The liver damage connection is particularly concerning. Studies published in medical journals throughout 2024 demonstrate that sucralose activates stress pathways in liver cells, promoting fat accumulation and inflammation. What makes Gordon's Pink particularly significant is its market impact. It did not just compromise one product, it created the template that corrupted an entire category. For a name synonymous with London dry tradition, Gordon's Pink represents the moment heritage brands chose trend profits over craft integrity and exposed millions of consumers to metabolic health risks in the process. If Gordon's Pink corrupted the category, this final brand perfects everything wrong with modern flavored gin. Taking the number 1 spot as the absolute worst gin you can buy in Britain, Whitley, Neill, Rhubarb and Ginger represents peak botanical betrayal. Whitley Neill markets itself as premium, small-batch craft gin. Elegant bottles, botanical heritage claims, everything screams authenticity. The reality? Syrup in a fancy bottle. Rhubarb and ginger contain so much added sweetness it is practically liqueur. The rhubarb flavoring dominates completely, an intensely sweet, artificial tasting profile, burying any resemblance to actual gin. The formulation includes natural rhubarb and ginger flavoring added post-distillation. They are mixing concentrated flavor compounds into finished gin rather than distilling actual botanicals. Chemical intervention disguised as craft distillation. At 43% alcohol by volume, it sits slightly above the minimum, but that higher alcohol simply amplifies the harsh sweetness rather than creating botanical complexity. Here is what makes this the most dangerous on the list. The concentrated rhubarb compounds combined with synthetic sweeteners create a perfect storm for liver stress. Medical research from 2024 shows that combining alcohol with artificial sweeteners significantly increases the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Independent tasting notes consistently describe it as overwhelmingly sweet, artificial, and barely recognizable as gin. Spirit experts question whether products this heavily flavored should even qualify as gin. The World Health Organization's 2023 alert specifically warned against regular consumption of artificial sweeteners, citing links to metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, and chronic inflammation. That warning applies directly to products like Whitley, Neill, Rhubarb, and ginger. What makes this the absolute worst is the complete deception. Premium packaging, craft positioning, botanical heritage marketing. Everything suggests quality gin crafted traditionally. Instead, you are getting synthetic sweetness and artificial flavoring that abandons every principle proper gin represents, while simultaneously exposing your liver to compounds medical research has linked to serious health consequences. For gin marketed as premium craft with heritage credentials, Whitley, Neill, Rhubarb, and ginger delivers the opposite. Industrial flavoring disguised as artisanal distillation, charging premium prices for syrup that happens to contain some gin buried underneath. Not just bad gin, active betrayal of everything gin historically represented, with potential health consequences nobody warned you about. After exposing those 8 synthetic offenders, here is hope for gin lovers who want the real thing. These 3 brands prove gin can be distilled properly, using natural botanicals, traditional methods, and complete transparency. At number 3, English Heritage Organic Dry Gin represents London dry craftsmanship done properly. This gin contains precisely what traditional London dry should: organic juniper berries, organic coriander, organic citrus peel, organic angelica root, and carefully selected complementary botanicals. Nothing synthetic, nothing hidden, nothing unnecessary. The distillation happens in small batches using traditional copper pot stills. Each batch receives individual attention and quality control, the opposite of industrial mass production, prioritizing volume over character. English Heritage uses only certified organic botanicals from verified suppliers. That means no glyphosate contamination, no pesticide residues, no chemical farming shortcuts. You are getting botanicals grown and harvested traditionally without heavy chemical intervention. The gin sits at a proper 42% alcohol by volume, strong enough to carry full botanical complexity whilst remaining balanced and approachable. This is not legal minimum cost cutting, proper strength for proper gin. Independent testing confirms 0 synthetic additives, 0 post-distillation flavoring, 0 color enhancement. What is distilled is what you drink, transparent from botanical selection through final bottling. The company maintains complete ingredient transparency, publishing botanical sources, distillation methods, and organic certification details. Industrial producers hide this information because transparency exposes shortcuts. For gin drinkers wanting authentic London dry without gambling on synthetic additives or pesticide contamination, English Heritage delivers exactly what traditional distillation promises. If English Heritage impressed you, this next Scottish distillery takes natural purity even further. At number 2, Secret Garden's organic wild gin from Scotland represents botanical integrity at its purest. This small Scottish distillery hand forages wild botanicals from highland landscapes. These are not mass-farmed ingredients shipped globally. Plants are sourced locally, harvested sustainably, and distilled fresh. The gin contains 100% organic spirit base with hand-picked wild botanicals, including juniper, elderflower, meadowsweet, and Scottish heather. Every ingredient is traceable to specific locations. There is complete supply chain transparency from foraging through distillation. Secret Garden explicitly commits to 0 added sugars, 0 artificial colors, and 0 synthetic flavorings. The botanical bill provides all flavor naturally through proper vapor infusion and maceration. Nothing is added after distillation. The distillation happens in tiny batches using traditional copper pot stills. Each batch is numbered and tracked. It is the opposite of industrial volume production. Craft distillation is where quality matters more than quantity. What makes Secret Garden particularly remarkable is the nature-distilled philosophy that extends beyond marketing. They genuinely forage wild ingredients, distill in small batches, and maintain complete transparency about sourcing and methods. The company publishes detailed information about botanical origins, foraging locations, and distillation techniques. Industrial producers often treat this as proprietary, but Secret Garden shares everything because transparency builds trust. For gin drinkers wanting absolutely natural ingredients without any synthetic intervention, Secret Garden delivers genuine wild botanicals distilled with integrity. Hand-foraged plants, traditional distillation, zero compromise. If Scottish wild foraging impressed you, wait until you see what this London distillery has perfected over nearly 180 years of independent brewing. Taking the top spot as the absolute best gin you can drink in Britain, Juniper Green Organic London Dry represents everything gin should be. This gin contains exactly what London Dry demands: organic juniper berries, organic coriander seed, organic angelica root, organic savoury, and organic grain alcohol. 4 traditional botanicals. Nothing synthetic, nothing hidden, nothing compromised. Juniper Green has been batch distilled in London using traditional copper pot stills. Every botanical certified organic from verified suppliers. That means 0 pesticide contamination, 0 glyphosate residues, 0 chemical farming shortcuts. The distillation follows authentic London Dry methods. Botanicals macerated and vapor infused during distillation and never added afterwards. What's distilled is what you drink. No post-distillation flavouring, no synthetic additives, no colour enhancement. Independent testing confirms complete botanical purity. The organic certification requires verified sustainable farming practices and complete supply chain transparency. That costs significantly more but delivers genuinely clean ingredients. The company maintains extraordinary transparency, publishing botanical sources, organic certifications, and distillation methods. Industrial producers hide this because transparency exposes shortcuts. What makes Juniper Green the absolute best is the unwavering commitment to organic integrity throughout production. Every ingredient certified, every process traditional, every bottle delivering what the label promises. For anyone wanting real gin without gambling on synthetic additives or pesticide contamination, Juniper Green delivers precisely what traditional London Dry represents. 4 organic botanicals, traditional distillation, complete transparency. This is what gin looked like before corporations corrupted it. There you have it. 8 United Kingdom gin brands loaded with synthetic sweeteners and artificial flavours, and 3 that still distill gin the right way. If this opened your eyes, like the video, comment the brand that shocked you most.